Well, welcome to the Cinnabar. Now, we just absolutely love Cody, Wyoming, and things are going so very well there at Wyoming Armory, in large part due to a lot of our viewers sending some of their guns, giving us lots of business. So, you know, all the support you give this channel, all the support you give Wyoming Armory, of course, we appreciate a bunch. And while we love our time out there at Cody, there's no place like home. So when we get the chance, we come back to the ranch here from time to time, and we've been out here a week or so now. We got another week or so to kind of get things caught up here on the ranch. And of course, I had to sneak on up the hill here and do a little shooting while we were here. So today I'm going to get started on a rifle that I've chosen to hunt with this year, an 1894 Winchester 25-35, my favorite caliber in the 1894 lineup. This one's a close coupled or double set trigger, some people call them. Pistol grip, plain stock, just a really neat combination. This one's been well used, doesn't have a spectacular bore, but it's got a good bore. It's got a little frosting in, a little wear in the land, so we're going to shoot it with some jacketed bullets today, just see how it performs. Now, we haven't worked up any loads for it for testing yet, because we want to see how it shoots with a couple of different factory loads first, see if we can get those grouped up acceptably, and then we'll go out and do some load development. Of course, all my reloading stuff and components are back in Cody, so that'll have to wait till we get back there in a week or two, and then we can start, if it does well today, we can start some load development in earnest. So let's get started. I'm anxious to shoot this old girl. So here's a little closer view of this old girl. Now, this one letters just the way it looks today, with the plain pistol grip and close coupled set triggers, standard length round barrel. Just a dandy old rifle. And this one's been carried a lot. This one's been shot quite a little bit, used but not abused. It's been taken care of pretty darn well. And I just love this combination. You know, it just steps out at me. And I bought this at a show out in Cody several years ago, just because this combination caught my attention and looked like a great gun that could be taken out and hunted with without worrying too much about putting a little scratch in it here or there. Okay, so it's been several years since I shot this rifle. I don't remember exactly where it was shooting or if I had it sighted in real good. So first off, we're just going to take a couple of sighters up close here. We're about 30-35 yards, just to see if we need to make some sight adjustments first before we start moving back and adding a little distance to it. We're shooting right now some 117 grain jacketed 25-35 from our good friends at Minuteman Ammo over in Sutherland, Oregon. And they're not a sponsor of the channel, but we just like to give a plug to other mom and pop operations like us. Okay, let's set this trigger since we can. It's got a very light trigger when it's set. Okay, everything seems to cycle properly. Set it again. Okay, let's go see how she did. Hopefully they're right next to each other. That'll make it easier. Okay, so we're about 4 inches high. Our windage is pretty good. At this distance, being up close, I don't mind it being a little high like that, and maybe that'll take care of itself as we move back and give it a little more distance. Now we're just a little over 3/4 of an inch apart, so you know, at 35 yards we're going to triple that when we move back to 100. So you know, we're talking about 2.5-3 inches, you know, which that's about average for a lot of these old lever action rifles. I'd like to see it a little bit closer, but maybe we can tighten that up a little bit with some different loads in the future. And we've got another load to try here as well. So let's back up to 100 and just see what she does. Okay, now we're back at 100 yards, or actually we're at about 97 according to our Vortex rangefinder. And they're not a sponsor either, but I have to give them a shout out. I've had one of these Ranger rangefinders for years, and it suddenly quit working just recently. Sent it in, they couldn't fix it, just sent me a brand new one, no questions asked. So that's some pretty good customer service. Okay, so here we are. We're at 97 yards just because the 100 yards was kind of in a dip there and this was a flat spot. So we cheated up just a little bit. But I think it'll tell us what we need to know. I'm going to shoot 3 more of these Minuteman loads here. Then we'll go down, check the target, come back and shoot some factory Winchester 117 grain. Okay, here we go. Set the trigger. Boy, I love that trigger. Okay, set it again. And one more time. Okay, let's go see how we did. Okay, so that's not particularly encouraging. That time we were pretty good on elevation, except higher, but we had 2 here and 1 flyer out over here to the left. Now these 2 don't concern me too much. I mean, they're only a ½ an inch apart, but where this one came from, I'm not too sure. So we're going to put another target up, go back and try those Winchester loads, see if we can do a little better, a little more consistent, group up a little better. Okay, so everything's been pretty high so far, and our elevator on this rear sight's all the way down. Now the only way I can get it any lower is just take that elevator completely out, and that's not going to drop it much. Looks like we're probably going to need a little bit taller front sight maybe to make the adjustments we need to. But let's see what happens with these Winchester loads. Now 4 of the 5 of those have been really pretty decent for windage, and where that one came from off to the left I really don't know. So I'm hoping that maybe that was just kind of a fluke or operator error. Maybe I aim a little bit lower on the target maybe. Here we go. Set the trigger. Okay, so I aimed right at the bottom of the target. Set the trigger. And one more time. Now you'll notice I'm setting this close coupled set trigger from the left hand side. It's always best on these close coupled set triggers to set from the left hand side. Just the geometry of it makes it easier on the trigger. You're less likely to break those triggers, and once they're broke, they're like hen's teeth to find. People are calling me all the time wanting those, and I'm trying to find somebody to reproduce them. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay, so you can see this one, we got it right on a 3-inch spread here. We got one here, here, and here. So, you know, at 100 yards with these old lever guns, 3 inches is perfectly acceptable. I think we could, with some load development, get this one down under 2 inches, and that would be wonderful for hunting with these old open sight Winchesters. Now you got to remember I was aiming down here, so we're still high elevation, but you'll notice the other loads were pretty good for windage. But all 3 of these were off to the left, so it kind of goes to show how different loads can affect your point of impact, even with the same point of aim. Okay, now we're just going to have a little bit of fun. And out in this country, you know, we don't get to shoot off benches, or rarely do we have a rest around when we're out hunting. So developing the skill to shoot offhand is really important. You know, we have a term for those who have to hunt or have to shoot off a rest when they're hunting in this country, and it's called hungry. But not to worry, those of us who can shoot offhand typically will make sure that the folks that can't shoot offhand don't starve and share some of the game with them. So let's give it a try. Okay, so we're going to have to shoot at the base of everything because everything's been shooting high. Let's see if we can hit. Oh, there we go. Set that trigger again. Oh, right over the top of it. I didn't shoot low enough. Let's set it again. Hey, there we go. Oh, and my target didn't hold up. Okay, so let's hit that one swinging down there if we can. Set the trigger. Oh, missed it. Shot underneath it trying to shoot too low. Okay, one more try. There we go, that's how it's done. Okay, so actually a pretty good shooting old rifle for sure. We got some loads made up for this and I think we'll take some game with it. Now out here in this muley country and Rocky Mountain elk country, 25, 35 and 117 grains bullet might be a little light. I mean, if you run into a 300-pound muley buck, might want a little bit more punching power. But you know, we have antelope out here, and back in Cody now, we're in whitetail and mule deer country both. So you know, a 25, 35, while of course shot placement is the most critical, would be a really nice rifle for antelope that we have both here and at Cody, and those whitetails out at Cody. I wouldn't be afraid to use it out here on these muleys too, but guy's gonna have to really get it dialed in to do so. Okay, so I kind of hate to burn up a lot of this high dollar, hard to get 25, 35 ammo, but it's just so much fun. So we've driven out here, used my handy dandy rangefinder, and found that we're at 223 yards. We can't get out much further because there's a little rise in between here. So we're gonna see, we've got a little bigger steel target out there because, well, at 225 yards and open sight, so I need a little bigger steel target. And if we were successful on that, we've even got a jug out there. If I get real brave, I'll see if I can't hit that jug. Now, if I'm going to burn up this high dollar ammo, I expect you folks to be watching, subscribing, commenting, telling your friends so that I can get enough ad revenue to pay for some of this ammo. So let's go. Let's see how we do here. I think at this range I won't have to aim quite so low. I probably aim about the middle of the target. Let's set this trigger. Oh, I did shoot over the top of it. I'm a little surprised. Okay, so we're going to have to aim at the bottom of the target again. I think that hit. It didn't make as much of a gong as I thought it was going to. Yep, it's hitting. It just makes a thunk instead of a gong. Okay, so I'm hitting that consistently. Let's see that jug over there. Now, I don't have a lot of confidence in hitting that. Right over the top of it. Okay, just aim a little bit lower. Oh, right in front of it. Okay, third time's a charm. Just split the difference. There, that hit it. Oh, there we go. Boy. Actually, you know, that one must have been a flyer. I'm shooting these first loads here from Minuteman Ammo, and I've got to be right on windage to hit that jug at 225 yards. And the other two, the one above it, one right below it, were right on the money as well. So, man, this thing's a good shooter as it is, and we're going to develop some loads when we get back to Cody and really see what we can do with this old girl. Well, I got to tell you, it's been a real treat to be back on the Cinnabar and get to do some shooting out here again. Can't wait to get into some load development for that old 94 and 25-35. Now, our part of the state's been pretty lucky this year, but you might notice a whole lot of smoke and haze behind us here, and that's because just a couple of days ago a large fire broke out just southeast of us in the southeast part of the county down on the Heart Mountain National Antelope Refuge, and that thing's just cooking and the wind's howling again today. So please keep those firefighters on your minds and in your prayers, and the folks out there in the Warner Valley. You know, I was a wildland firefighter, either professionally or volunteer, for 35 years, and boy, days like today are just no fun. So thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, happy trails from the Cinnabar.